Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
No cover on
I don't think
top.
I need to cover either. Let's see. Testing. No, it's nice.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm going to play with it still.
So I have with me today an anonymous guest.
No, yeah, see, you don't have to set it up like that.
No, this is how we're going to set it up.
Okay.
If you're not going to tell your real name, you're an anonymous guest.
Yeah, okay.
There's a reason behind the anonymity, because she is going to tell all about a project that she was a part of.
I'm only anon because I know I'd like to be sovereign with my information, and that's all. You know,
Smart.
and it's not anything like, oh, like I'm trying to hide, or I just like having my privacy and like respecting boundaries where I think like all of us kind of feel whenever we interact with like social media or even our phones and computers, we are unknowingly probably giving up data that we might not be aware of. And I don't know, I like kind of want to feel like I have some control, even though that I might not, you know, like when I'm at the airport or whatever. But like in this situation, I have control to be like, no, I don't really need my real name out there, you know?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, especially in the world that we're headed into. I mean, right now I can think that I still have control, even though I probably don't, just because I don't understand the technologies that are out there right now.
Right.
But it's nice to think that you can have control.
And that's why because you said, oh, the project that I'm working on, it's more of the ecosystem that I'm a part of, because I do work in the crypto and NFT space.
NFT, yeah.
And blockchain. And I like understand that certain, like the NFT community, for example, they really thrive off of knowing what they're kind of like holding in terms of certain assets they have in their portfolio or even crypto. But I guess for me, I just don't, I know that everything's on the blockchain, so it is visible, but it's not something that like everyone needs to know, like what I look like, because that doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. Not many people understand the crypto space yet. You've been working in it now for what, a year, 2 years?
Yeah. Well, yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah. So you have a pretty good understanding of it. So I'm going to ask you today to explain some of the things that you've done and kind of how you got into the system and your understanding of the system. It's evolving all the time too.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely kind of like tread lightly. I don't think any of us know. If you do and are involved in crypto, I don't think any of us really know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I think that there are just opportunities and options that are in the space where you want a choice, especially if like, you want to exist in a decentralized space. Now, like, I guess that to me, I immediately think of like, I'm not totally a decentralization maxi. I'm not someone that's like, oh, everyone needs to be offline. I do enjoy centralization. And I think most things, I think for the common person, I don't think they even care, right? If like, for example,
centralization, let's explain that real quick, because decentralized or centralization is like Facebook, where they control the data that goes through the Facebook app, and they sell the data out to other people. That's how they make their money. But decentralized is where you have independent servers that all the data is running through, so that no one corporation owns the data.
Right.
Okay. And you're not a fan of that?
No. So I guess let's like kind of back up a bit. One of the reasons why I was attracted to the crypto space was primarily because I am an artist, and I thrive off of sovereignty and like just being able to profit off of the things that I make without, for example, the traditional route of being an artist, but having to go through a middleman in order to make living. For example, like in music, you got to go through a producer or maybe a label. And an artist has maybe to go through a gallery. And there's just plenty of examples. But for me personally, I wanted to not be cut massive losses because someone wanted to hang my work on their wall in a gallery and it would sell, which is a traditional way to go. And I'm not knocking it, but for me, I was like, nah. Now decentralization, I'm finding out that if you have the opportunity to make some investments and some currency moves, it's very volatile. And I think it comes with it's so new that if you feel like dabbling, I feel like it's almost like a form of it's a risk. It's definitely a risk. And the only reason why I think sometimes centralization works is because there are people that are putting a lot of money into backing something that will go through and work. Not saying that, decentralization doesn't work, but it's more risky. And it's like the Wild West, right? Where there are people that are going to show up that might put some of those assets that you have into your own form of security. So if you mess up and just fall short of maybe not knowing exactly what you're doing, you are more likely to risk losing something.
You're talking about like the FDIC, how the bank, if you invest your money in a bank, they will back you up to like 100,000 if they lose all your money. So that's them backing your money. But if you're in the crypto space and you lose your money by chance, by like sending it to the wrong wallet or something, it's just gone, huh?
Yeah. Like I can't call customer service and be like, hey, I messed up, and they'll be like, you're right. Like, here's this money back. Which is, it's a risky game to play. But if you know what you're doing and for the experience that I've had, there's only one way to really gain experience, and that is risking and losing.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, but I believe in the technology of it.
That's why I'm invested in it, because I can see I understand that right now it's the Wild Wild West. I keep calling it that, but they're saying that because it's a brand new technology that humans are discovering what they can do with. They're pushing the boundaries of it right now, which is causing this massive evolution spike in that space. And it's so massive and so rapidly evolving that even the people working in the space can't keep up with it. They're trying to specialize because initially you could start with like this broad spectrum, but now you got to like find your niche and go with it. But yeah, the technology is incredible. And the people that are deniers of it, they just don't understand. Right. You're going to have to evolve with the times because this is going to be the future.
Yeah. So I think we're like really far from mass adoption because I think I'm not knocking on anyone's learning like speed, but for the common individual that might not have the time, because it does take time to like really dive into the technology, it needs to be as easy as swiping a card, I guess, to be able to participate in something.
It's like the internet. When the internet first came out, you might not remember it.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, it was just it was text on pages, and you had to go to like these certain specific websites to get to a certain thing. And now it's so easy the common man can use it. That's why I don't understand why the crypto space hasn't evolved to streamline that side of it, because there are ways to make onboarding people so much easier.
And that's why I believe in blockchain, because there are tons of chains out there. And a lot of people, for example, are coming from the money side of it, which I'm not a day trader. I think it's super risky, and I'm not even proficient enough to sit in front of a computer all day watching charts and that's too much for me. But with that, if you are someone that really enjoys like day trading and risking it and being able to at least like make something off of coins and altcoins, go for it. For me personally, that's why I believe in certain chains that are coming up that are really new. Well, obviously, like we all know about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's almost like the sovereign, very like old.
That's the one that most people would know.
Most people do know, but I would even argue that people and individuals might even know meme and shitcoins even more because of their ability to leak into mainstream media like Shiba or Doge. Those coins, even though that they might not have investment value, I'm not necessarily like here to say like, oh, invest into these coins, like financial advice. I'm here to say,
take all my financial advice. I fucking hate when people say that shit. Listen,
well, it's true.
Go buy hot dogs. Invest all your money in hot dogs tomorrow.
Or like do your own research. Like, no, for real though. I'm not saying like, obviously I'm not saying to go buy into these coins, but because I'm prefacing it because I'm about to talk about a chain that has a coin. And I've been looking because most of these, for those that don't know, whenever you have blockchain, they work off of individuals that don't necessarily, it's not centralized. They have these things called nodes, right? Where the network operates off of. Bitcoin is proof of work, where a lot of individuals may operate this node and basically process the network. There are other chains that are like navigating off of like going to proof of stake, where Ethereum is proof of work right now, and ETH2, that solution will be proof of stake.
What is taking so long for them to get that out?
And here's the thing. I ended up asking this question because I was talking to a group of individuals. I don't know, but I think what is happening is I think they're, from my understanding, and this is why I'm going to present like two that I'm completely super hardcore invested in, is ETH and is this chain called Solana. Because the problem with Ethereum, and I love Ethereum, I think it's great for building. Bitcoin is more sovereign in its like value, where a lot of people, if I want to pull out $10 million and send it to this person, I can easily do that in Bitcoin and it get there rather than it to be maybe in fiat. And maybe we're in a different country. Maybe you're in, I don't know, Germany or Croatia, and I'm in the UK or whatever. It's much easier to move money and assets. Whereas Ethereum is, there's so many builders and developers on that side of things where there's a lot of, there's just an opportunity for different different assets to be built on to that chain, for example, NFTs, where it's giving a little bit more of an opportunity for us to have these, assets to be able to use in different situations. For example, there are people out there that are selling NFTs. And if you buy said NFT, this is just an example, you have a year's worth of staying at this hotel, right? Where I hold this NFT and I can stay here for free because I hold it. And that's really cool. Now, the problem with it is it's not scalable. It's a little too congested at the moment. And I think what I've heard is that if you have the population of Berkeley, California, and you're running a couple of transactions on Ethereum, all it takes is the population of Berkeley for the network to slow down, which is really not good, right? Because that means the network gets congested. I've participated in
it takes gas fees to get across,
and they skyrocket.
Yeah, so gas fees are the money you pay to have a transaction go across the internet. Right. You do it with money too. Whenever you swipe your credit card or something, you have to pay a tiny transaction fee. It's just down to like almost nothing with money.
And the thing that I'm so bullish on Solana, and because they've taken these transactions, they've made them cost effective, and they're at the speed of transacting almost to the speed of Visa, which is crazy.
Do you know how they do that?
Yes. So what they do is they end up having it into proof of history. So let's just say, for example, you have, and I've been reading the white papers on Solana as much as I can and trying to digest it. And it is insane because let's just say that you have a cell tower where you have different areas that are receiving data. You're making a call and your call goes in at 12:01 and my call goes in at 12:02. Well, you got there before I did, right? Mm-hmm. So what it does is that on Solana, you're basically working off of something called proof of history, which is time dependent. And what they're doing with cell towers is they are directing information from one tower to the other, and they're alternating to where you have this tower that's taking information and it's going to, shut off for a little bit and then go to the other one, because you're spreading out your traffic to where it's less congested. So on Solana, it's called proof of history because people are, well, basically nodes are receiving information at the time they came in, where you end up having, it's cryptographically programmed where you have a solution, right, that ends up getting solved through the time that the transaction came in and basically gets put into the system almost, well, I would say, let's just put it this way. If it takes 30 seconds to process a transaction on Solana, people know something's wrong.
Right.
They're like, okay, whoa, like what's going on? Because it's so fast. Now it's new and it's not as credible as, chains like Ethereum, but it's solving problems that are basically like, for example, in 2017, when things went down, it's solving problems that happened in that stage, right? Because people are seeing, oh, there's an issue, the market crashed. Why? What can we do and what chains can we build to compete with Bitcoin? That's the only reason why Vitalik ended up proposing Ethereum, was to be like, well, there's an issue here. Same thing with Solana. It's just solving different problems. And the onboarding for me personally, now that I've found this chain, that would be something that I would introduce to a newbie. I'd be like, look, Ethereum is pricey. Solana is inexpensive. Like, it's, if you want to learn, and especially for developers and heck, even kids, because they're learning coding, I would teach them on Solana.
What is that? Is that where do you go to get to that website? Is it Solana.com?
Yeah. Solana.com has like white papers.
And then you can like sign up for your Solana account, or what you have to have? Most
of the time they end up showing, like different wallets. The community that I've been dabbling with, they've like pushed the different wallets. I went with a Phantom wallet.
Can you use MetaMask on there?
No, oh. MetaMask is an ETH wallet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other ones.
Here's the confusing thing about it is I am in the space too, but there is still just so much going on and it's hard to even like grasp all the stuff. Like even when you're explaining the Solana stuff, my question with that is if they've solved a problem that Ethereum has, what is holding Ethereum back from solving that problem too? Because the solution is out there.
I think that might be what people are waiting for. I've looked at the proposal that Vitalik like put out, and proposal is just a chart like on Twitter where he was kind of proposing what ETH2 would look like. And it looks like it's solving, obviously the high transaction fees to be able to process like through the blockchain. His ideal rate would be to get it down to less than 5 cents per transaction.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And he's like, my work isn't done until it's at that point or even lower.
Fucking get it done, Vitalik.
I know. Just him. I think there's just a lot of intricacies when it comes to what's getting solved and like how it's going to make the network better. Because
Hedera, right? I think it's Hedera Hashgraph that did this. They basically took the Ethereum, because Vitalik, one good thing that he did was he made it open source. Mm-hmm. So by him making it open source, he allowed other people to grab his network and then build off that. So what they did, I think it was Hedera, it might be something else, but whatever network it was, copied the entire Ethereum network over to another server and then used their programmers to improve the Ethereum network.
I've heard of individuals and I wouldn't knock it. I'd honestly be like, dude, go for it. Try it out.
The only reason I'm still heavily invested in Ethereum is because of what you said to the developers. If you actually look at the past, whatever space developers are working in is typically the best one to invest in.
And I think like that's a good point to bring up, only because when you're learning blockchain, and you come from an IT background, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're learning approachable forms of code that are going to be easy to expand on. For example, Solidity. Most of the Solidity that it takes to actually write a smart contract, it's very easy for the next person to copy and paste the code because it works, right? Whereas there are individuals that are working on Solana that are maybe, from my understanding, might not necessarily work in just JavaScript or Python, and they maybe want to make something a little bit more intricate that could maybe process something kind of like gaming, right? Where you have a lot of information coming in and you want to process it as fast as possible, but you don't want it to be expensive because the information is coming in so quickly, and you need it to go out. So, for example, it's really, really amazing for gamers. So if you, just depends on what you want. I'm not like here to say like ETH or, I'm here to say, what are your goals and what you're building and what chain is going to do that for you? I'm not a maxi by no means on any chain. I really want to stay open-minded. I just know that there's a lot of individuals that have and are really fucking smart, and they have a lot to offer on what can be built. So for the primary reason, I'm into gaming. I like gaming. And if Solana is going to build Web3 games, that's going to be so cool, only because you now have the element of potentially earning money, It's
a $1 trillion industry that's waiting to happen. The gaming industry and on the blockchain.
And I'm like waiting for the sleeping giant of the Asian side of things, because they are slowly, I know they have regulations, and I know that they have individuals.
See, that's where the problem comes in. The regulations. Because that's no longer decentralized.
No, I know.
When the government starts regulating this stuff, they start throttling the evolution of technology.
Yeah.
And it's all about control.
It.
Yeah.
And I think, I will say that if you enjoy decentralization, always find chains that support and are reputable chains that support that for you. For example, like Murano. What is it?
Murano, and then Pirate Chain's another one.
Yeah. I'm so sorry if I said, I think it's Murano.
Just look it up online. You got XRP.
What?
That's what it is, isn't it?
No.
What's XRP?
So
Ripple.
XRP is an ISO coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in which, by the way, I don't know. I just came out of a debate that we were having where this individual harped on XRP and Ripple, and like everyone was like, get the fuck out of here.
Why didn't they like it?
Because they feel that a lot of because it's, I guess, backed by more from, I don't know anything about XRP and I don't know anything about Ripple, but if you're going to call a digital coin versus like a crypto coin, I think the digital coin aspect of that is kind of what turned people off, because it's not crypto.
What's the difference?
I think that crypto it can operate on a decentralized chain, and you have the opportunity. Again, I maybe need to do my due diligence into finding out, like, why are people so against, XRP and Ripple, but they are. And that interests me because I want to know why. And from the takeaway that I took from people yelling at each other in this debate was that XRP is like, no, that's a digital coin. Why are you? It's literally no different. So why not invest in a cryptocurrency that is decentralized, can be decentralized, can be moved, and you don't have to necessarily wait, or maybe your identity. It all depends. They're
not the same thing.
They're definitely not.
One's crypto and one's a digital coin.
Yeah, they're definitely not. And this individual that came up was like, everyone should no, y'all, like everyone's talking about like shit coins. Y'all should definitely look into ISO coins, XRP, Ripple, and
they didn't explain why.
Well,
or you just didn't understand it.
When people started yelling at each other, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like, why not just like have a nice communication about this so we can all learn?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, please stop yelling. I didn't. The takeaway, I'm telling you, the takeaway was like, what's the difference in a digital coin and cryptocurrency? So I think at the end of the day is knowing where your assets are and owning them. So, and I don't know if XRP Ripple does that.
We got about 30 minutes left.
Cool.
I love the conversation already. I would love to stay on this topic for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But what I really want you to do is explain the project that you worked on.
Yeah.
And kind of talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I started an NFT project with 4 other individuals that I met through an app called Clubhouse. And I worked, obviously this is the height of the pandemic, 2020 and 2021 was kind of like 2021 was where I was introduced to this social audio app, and I began to network and market and, wound up in an NFT room by accident. And I was like, what the heck is this? If something interests me enough to like I just didn't understand it, I'm willing to give it the time of day to like learn everything about it and obsess over it. Yeah. I have that problem.
The problem is called ADD.
For sure. So I obsessed over NFTs for a solid year, and came out of it with many friends. And in that network of friends that I made, there was an individual that proposed like, let's start a project. And I was managing the community and the story behind a project called Oniforce. And at the time, this individual that had come to me was like, hey, like, yo, let's start this project, because we knew each other from just talking 16 hours a day on Clubhouse. We gathered developers, we gathered people that we knew, and he saw something that was
you were in Clubhouse for 16 hours a day.
Yeah, like, just learning and like doing this.
That's insane.
It is.
Yeah.
But you put in the work and you get rewarded.
Well, I know. I remember I saw you a few times while you're on Clubhouse, and we were like, having cocktails or whatever on the rooftop, and you were like on Clubhouse that time too. Yeah. I was like, geez, like all the time.
Yeah, it was bleeding into everything. Like,
but now it worked for you.
It did. Yeah, it did. And I think that that's what people are like, maybe there are opportunities out there. You just got to like not be comfortable and try new things.
This is where this ADD thing, I think, is making this new world easier for people, because ADD people, they have an easier time like expanding into these new ideas, because like you said, you find something interests you and you go down the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. Right now with these new technologies, people that have like this skill to evolve into these new technologies, they're thriving.
Yeah.
But the people that have trouble getting out of their like mental zones, they're like not going to pick it up as quick.
And that's why I am like, it's a blessing and a curse, because it did like make me lose sleep, for a lot. And I burnt myself out on managing. So it moves so fast in the NFT space, or crypto in general, just moves so fast. So we did really well. We offered a product. Yeah.
You got the developers.
Yeah.
And then you made a product.
Yeah.
In the NFT space. And then you launched the product.
I launched it. We launched it. I mean, we couldn't have done it without the developers. Obviously, we had a front end dev. We had a back end dev who was doing tech. He's just absolutely so smart. And he kind of, when you have someone that operates in a room where you sound like you just need to always be learning, and if you're like the smartest person in the room, then it's time to move. And he made me feel dumb just because of he comes from coding and offering and thinking about solutions on a reality level, but also like on a mathematics, logic-based solution level. And so we ended up providing a product. We had someone that was very smart in marketing, knowing that in the NFT space, you're offering projects that maybe are going to be traded. It's definitely a gamble. There's a lot of dopamine, and it's like going into a casino, because it is very risky, and you probably shouldn't a risk what you can't lose at the end of the day. So if you have like house money that you are like, hey, I'm going to put this aside and I just want to, there's an ecosystem to it that I've slowed down on participating in, because I'm not necessarily interested in just making money. I'm wanting to build like actual things that NFTs could offer for the future.
Solutions.
Right. Or you even like quote unquote utility, where this project did really well. And we launched last year, but from last year to this year, the space has already changed. And most of these projects, like it is very true when they say that 95% of the projects in the NFT space will go to zero. Right. Because it's like opening up a business. Basically, you have a consumer community that holds these NFTs. And if the project leaders don't do something about it, just eventually just kind of like goes quiet. Right?
Yeah. Like if they don't continue the project going.
It's a business. You got to maintain it. You got to grow. And that's why, like, for example, when I minted like my Bored Apes, or just bought them off a secondary. It's already been a year that I've held those assets. But now, because of Yuga and where they started, because they were just the Bored Apes, it was literally just founders that wanted to present one of the first NFT projects that came after, there's so many NFT projects, but it was one of the big ones that really gave that accessibility, because CryptoPunks was the original, like, generative. No, there's plenty out there, but they were assets.
People may know, yeah.
Yeah. And after crypto, they were so pricey.
Bored Ape, the yacht club one?
Yes.
Bored Ape Yacht Club?
Yeah, okay. So BAYC. And
one of the things I heard about them is that one of the utilities they were offering is that if you had one of their Bored Apes, you could get on the yachts. Like they purchase yachts or something.
They're probably one of the first that have had a humble beginning, had an idea, had the same thing that everyone echoed after them of having a lower entry point. Whereas CryptoPunks were like, you had to fork over so much money
just to buy one.
And it was like it was a flex, right? You have a CryptoPunk, like, damn, but it's like, it's only fun if you can play.
Right.
And so Bored Apes gave it a chance for us, like, just, I guess, middle-class crypto folk to play. And I remember risking it. And I was like, oh man, because
how much did you buy one for? I
bought one for at the time, it was $700. So I bought two.
Okay.
So I spent, I spent a solid, I spent a solid like 4 months rent.
Okay. And then, so you bought
pictures,
$1,400 worth of pictures. And did you sell them?
No. And
what are they up to now?
They're up to what I want to say 101 Ethereum. So roughly, because the market is down right now, they're like 200K.
God, Jeff, what the fuck?
$200,000. And that's wild to me.
So crazy.
Because I didn't ever think, it was never about the money for me. It wasn't. It was a community thing, right? You got to think, I was in Clubhouse at this time, fucking saw apes out of nowhere because I was like,
that's the right place at the right time.
No, it was. I was pulling 16-hour days, exhausted. I took one night off. I was like, fuck, like I have to sleep. The night I slept, I missed the mint because people were like buzzing about it, because I woke up the next day. Everyone has these profile picture projects. They're apes. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? What happened? And I FOMO'd. FOMO's a drug. It is legitimately a drug, because I was like, I have to spend what
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. I literally was like, I don't want to miss out. I had someone invest into me in the crypto space. They're like, here's $100. I basically like built my way up to being able to afford. I like didn't have any crypto, but because someone believed in me and like knew, okay, this person's going places, I turned that 100 it technically into, 200K, because I held something at the time that just meant community for me. I wanted to be a part of everyone else having fucking Bored Apes, that I was like, I'm not missing this. But then when the floor usually just means that the price of, you to get in keeps climbing, you feel like you're going to you're going to miss the bus. You're fear of missing out. And I risked what I saved, because I was hustling. I was learning digital art at the time. And I was like, I'm going to create something to sell. I sold, and I like got my way up to some ETH. And I'm like, am I really about to spend $1,400 on 2 pictures? And I did. And I had conviction, and I held it for a year. And now we're rewarded with fucking Bored Apes are huge now. They're pairing with Yuga Labs.
But it's because they're still pushing the project.
And it was lucky. Yeah.
What are they doing to push the project? I know they got the yacht thing, but what else?
Yeah. So right now, the newest thing that they did was they released a coin, right? And it is on the ETH chain, but they released a coin called ApeCoin, which is their own coin that operates in their own ecosystem, where for right now, they have now paired with a company called Improbable and Animatica, which are huge gaming companies, huge. And Probable is. And that's massive for the metaverse space. And I'm doing, quote unquote metaverse because like who the fuck knows what the metaverse is, but you'll be able to take these assets and basically go and play in a digital world that may earn you more money.
The ape coins.
The ape coin, because that's their ecosystem coin.
So what does that do if you can only get in the space if you have a Bored Ape?
You can now get in the space by buying ape coin. They've made it to where they're expanding their ecosystem by having these things that people can buy into at a lower price point
to get more people involved.
Yeah, and still be a part of like.
But if you own an ape, a Bored Ape, you're a boss.
You get. They have. I'm honestly so grateful. Yeah, they've really treated their holders really well because we held for so long. They gave us an allotted amount of ape coin. And I was like, dope, just for holding this, I have this set amount of money.
Paying dividends.
And and like basically just because I held it. And the longer that you held certain assets, or maybe not even the longer, but just holding them, they gave you free money. It's wild to me.
Well, it's the same thing as investing in stocks, right?
Yeah.
The company pays you dividends whenever they have a very successful year.
Yeah.
So how much did they give you per ape?
So for example, I have 2 and they ended up giving ape coin to everyone that held something a part of their ecosystem. They validated who held what, and they have a hierarchy in a way to where Bored Apes got paid this much, mutant apes got paid this much. They also have another.
So depending on the generative piece you have, you get.
They gave a certain, or even if you had them together. So they gave me for my 2 apes, I think like $125K.
Get the fuck out of here!
$125,000 just to hold like PNGs.
It
really was.
And you still have the assets too. You still have Bored Apes.
I'm diamond handing, which means like you're never letting them go. Like no, and I'm not going to take it to the point of like where it becomes my identity, but I'm not going to fade it either. Like it gave me some financial freedom to be able to do what I want.
Escape the matrix.
Yeah. I want to do art and I want to get paid for it, but I want to build things. And if I can have some liquid and meaning money to be able to invest into people, to invest into art and other things and technology.
Things that are going to make the world a better place. Yeah.
Then I like wanted,
it's so awesome that's allowing people like you that have a good heart to make it.
Yeah. And people, the underdogs, right? The people that are like marginalized and like trying to, the system just, it didn't do everyone and not that it needs to, but you make your own opportunities. And if there are people out there that just want and just believe in me kind of thing, then they're out there. And I took a chance and I risked it. And if you're really willing to put in the work, then, you'll reap the reward.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful. I was at the right place, right time. And it was luck. And it was like a unicorn, because I'm not saying that the only other project that I'm a part of that I felt like Bored Ape energy is on the Solana chain, and it's the OK Bears. It's literally their profile pictures of bears, but it's giving me the same Bored Ape vibes.
They're like doing some of the same type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like
And so if there are going to be chains and communities that are going to solidify rewards for their holders, then I want to partake. And
the community will stay on board with it. It's like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like the Pokemon thing. If they would have just released the first Pokemon, like we would have had fun with it and then we would have went on. But since the fact that they've maintained that environment the entire time, it's still around.
Yeah, exactly. So
and people are making millions off of Pokemon cards.
I'm telling you.
So do you think what happened with Oni?
Oh, it's still going.
Okay, still going?
Yeah, it's still going. There's still project managers that are partaking and working really hard to keep it going.
Do you think they'll be like the Pokemon cards one day? Because these they're the first Pokemon cards.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that to be quite frank, I know that there are always people that are going to create things and that things will come after, and that maybe they're going to be underdogs and they're going to
integrate those into the.
I mean, eventually, I honestly think that there are project managers right now that are working on Oni and having that historical element of being like one of the first anime profile side picture projects. I think even if it were to go to zero, and the community were to go quiet, that it would still resonate just it's a part of history where it did something at the first. And if you own it and hold it, then like you can, it's just like Pokemon cards, you know?
What was the amount of sales you guys did through Oni?
We did a lot. We generated, so I don't even,
at like the height of it, it was like,
it was like millions.
Millions
of dollars. Yes. It was millions of dollars. And we ended up, I don't even remember. I don't want to put a cap because I know it was a lot. I want to say it was like 60 mil.
And it's still going.
Oh, yeah, it's still going.
Yeah,
it is still going.
Incredible. And this is still in the brand new, it's the infant stage of the system.
Yeah, and the thing is like when you want to have an entry, now there are tons of projects where it's always about who is vouching for the project, the team, the community, a track record, because there's such a risk. It's like you have the chance to partake into something that may or may not succeed. But the fact that like you do something and you learn by making mistakes, by partaking with other individuals that are like-minded, it only makes it to where the technology isn't going away.
I think a lot of these if you can assess the risk, like, and you look at like people like Gary V, if he tells you, oh, this is going to be amazing, you fucking buy it. Because if Gary V tells you that, he's also telling those like dorky brothers that box, whoever else Gary V has in his system, he's telling them to buy it as well. And if all those celebrities buy it, it has no choice but to go up.
That's why it's risky. That's why I honestly,
but I think it's not that risky is my point.
Yeah.
I think if you can see who's attached to it, then you know that's going to be a good project.
Okay, then here's something, food for thought for you. If I'm going to ask you a question. So in that capacity, I do think there might be some scammy side of things. Like, for example, like Logan Paul, right?
Yeah. That was
super well-known dude, but and he's a smart guy. I think he's smart and he knows how to market well and he knows where value lies and he can like make something out of nothing. And that's so smart to do. But it also comes with a lot of risk in that if he creates a project and someone's attracted to his notoriety, then there's a potential to scam and like basically like
pump and dump,
where he can
they call it rug pulling, right?
Yeah, they call it rug pulling, which means like you end up having a project that you get into and then it goes quiet. I know that's the reason why I say it's very risky, because you are operating in a space where there are people that are not doxed and they can assume different personalities. And that's why I say, for me personally, I operate out of a privacy, but I have nothing to hide. And I know that I've presented myself in a manner that I'm not scamming, you know, right. But when individuals do, one, it is on the blockchain and people are going to find out about it. Right.
It's in our society today. If anyone just hears something, they'll jump down your throat too. So it has nothing to do with if you might have done 100,000 positive things for someone and then one kind of a bad thing gets said about you, they're not going to fucking even know the 100,000 positive things you've done. They're just going to immediately jump on board with, well, the devil.
She's for sure. And I will say this.
That's why I don't like Logan Paul.
I don't know the guy.
The devil one time and I was like, screw him.
He's done.
Yeah.
No, I will say this. Because we were so early in infancy in our project, we got harped so bad by our community, and I will never fade the people that are behind any project because I know what it takes and it is fucking hard work.
I saw what you put into that.
It was so tough, but the infancy of this space means that you're going to have people that hold those assets and can see what's going on and want to know, hey, I'm holding this NFT. Like, what is happening? Where's the updates? And that to me, because their attention span is so short, is so unsustainable.
Right.
They burnt us out. They burnt us out to where we were doing the best that we could and we fucked up. We did, because we were trying to appease the narrative of not providing enough, that we
and that was
fell
just
short.
Someone in the Discord might have said that one day, and it just spread like wildfire.
And that's the thing, is it when FUD, and that's called fear, uncertainty, and doubt. When people FUD certain things, it could be right and it could be wrong, and it blows up like wildfire. And that's why I think, in an essence, for example, NFTs in crypto, I like to play that they maybe are a scam, right?
Yeah. So like long-term holders of NFTs, I mean, you got success with the Bored Ape project.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about with Gary Vee, is like, I think that the way to make some money off these projects is if Gary Vee says, yes, you buy one and then dump it really quick.
Exactly.
Because I mean, you don't take a risk.
That's dangerous though. That's so influential.
It's very dangerous, but people are doing it and they're making tons of money off of it. Of course. Yeah. So there's no way to know. I mean, they're not putting utility to these projects yet. So there's no.
No, yeah, that's where I do think it is a scam.
Well, the entire art industry is a scam anyway.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. Yeah. So at this point, you know your risk. And if you're high risk and if you're low risk, but just know that it isn't for everyone.
Well, she's talking about the art space NFTs. Yeah. When you actually start breaking down NFTs and you can add bits of code to the NFTs, this is where it's going to change the way we do business.
For example, if I make a piece of art and I'm like, hey, Kyle, you are a collector of mine. You like my work and I want it to be on the blockchain, and I don't necessarily want to make a certificate of authenticity, because that's pretty like that could what's it called when something like could basically, they could get burnt, it could get lost. It's not my point is that if you buy my piece and we put it on the blockchain and then you later sell my piece, we know where it goes,
right? Which
is really cool, even if the physical comes with it, because the physical and the digital are different, and I don't recommend separating them. I do recommend keeping them together, but it is harder. But if you end up buying my piece and then your mother is like, I'll pay you X, and then you're like, all right, I'll send it to you. They know, well, it's still an original. And I know I just said my name, but it is an original from me. And then now we know where it went, and it's authentic. Yeah. Where if like I sell a Picasso and then someone's like, it's a Picasso, and then I later find out it's not.
I think the better way to give that example is to say the Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
If you have an old Pokemon card, in order to get it authenticated, you have to either go to a place physically or you have to ship it to a place first, which is a risky thing. But if you have a piece of art that's already on the blockchain, it's authenticated right there. Yeah. Like, that's the real one, or if it's not.
And because it's all transparent. Yeah. You can see where it went. You can see where it came from. You can see how much it sold for and the value of it.
Yeah, that space it's incredible what people are doing with it right now, but it's only going to be that much cooler to see where it goes. That's why I'm invested in crypto, because I see the potential. I see what people are doing with it right now, and then I know the potential that's going to come from it.
Oh, same, and that's why I'm quiet. Like, I'm not. For me, flipping NFTs is not my game. Yeah. Because I think it's going to plateau.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And my interest is the tech and what can be built on it, and gaming, obviously.
Yeah, no, the gaming is going to be cool. There was a project I invested in early on. It was Illuvium.
Yeah. There's even better people that are doing cooler things.
Well, Illuvium I invested in right off the bat when I first saw it, because it was the first Pokemon game, and there was the first AAA looking game. I mean, there's no telling what's out there now, but that was just the first one I saw. That was whenever the quarantine was happening too. I actually got some time to dive into this stuff. Now that I, run this place, it takes way more of my time.
Hey, but still, you went and you tried to learn, whereas there are going to be people that never. And that's not saying that hey, that's their cup of tea, but you are at least trying to get a grasp on what it's like to maybe even partake a little bit in the future, because now there are companies there are big companies that are coming into this space.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the know, then you get left behind. Because I'm telling you right now, there's a 13-year-old that we talked to in the NFT space. His name is Nick. He's so smart, and he's 13.
Fucking Nick.
And he's running. He's just so smart. And those are the people that I'm like, that's the future, man.
Yeah.
Because this kid's going to come up and he's already like,
it's like natural to him to work in these spaces because he's doing it from a young age.
yeah.
That's the only reason I went into computers, because from a young age, my parents or my grandparents bought a computer, and I learned as I was growing. Therefore, the knowledge just like stuck in there.
And yeah, I'm like, that's why I think it is so volatile, because if you have your parents coming in and they are like trying to get to know the technology, but they click a sus link and then they connect their wallet to the sus link and get drained, it is on them. But right now we're not doing, and I say we're as a collective and as a space, there are developers that I'm hoping are coming up with ways to keep the space more secure for children and also for people. But I've almost fell to a scam because people and hackers get, and by hackers, I mean people that take advantage of not like exploits, but like they scam you out of, because chain exploits do happen, but that's very rare. But like hackers that swindle you into clicking a link because you are like, on a site that tells you to do it, then you're vulnerable. And if I fall to that, but even worse, if like my grandma or like my nephew, if they fall to it, it's no fault but their own.
Yeah.
And
it happens today too. Like my grandma, whenever she was still alive, there was a time where she called me and she's like, "What were you doing in jail?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Someone just called me and said you needed money for jail." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, see, that's too easy. And it's even worse.
But they'll do it too. That's the thing.
It's even worse on the blockchain. It is.
Well, our workers here. So
nice. I do recommend
them today.
No worries.
You have anything else you want to say?
No, just take the time to like check it out. And it's been a pleasure. And obviously there's still much more to dig into, but yeah. And it's good exit music. Kendrick, which I got to listen to the new Kendrick album.
I haven't heard it yet.
It's all anyone's talking about.
I'll have to put it on.
I know. And I'm like,
oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, we were trying to like.
We wrapped up.
Yeah. We were trying to get.